Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and we are back this week with a friend from across the pond. He's a listener. He reached out and said, hey, I want to be on your show. I customize G.I. Joe toys, and they look amazing, and I want to share that with the world, and I want to talk about G.I. Joe with you. So I thought, what better person to welcome for episode 1 of the Sludge Factor than my new friend from Derbyshire, England. I don't even think I pronounced that right, Jim. Jim Godfrey. Jim, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Hey, Joe, how are you, mate? No, that was horrible.
So you pronounce it properly, then. Pronounce it properly.
It's Derbyshire.
Darb with a B or with a V?
With a B.
Derbyshire.
Yeah. Spelled Derb, but
Derb.
Derb.
Derbyshire, England. Welcome, man. I love it. Jim, you're a carpenter.
I am, yeah.
Which is amazing because you also do customize. You customize toys, which means you're a guy who works with his hands, and now you've crafted that onto your G.I. Joe hobby.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, tell me something about that. What kind of customizations do you do?
I use purely modern era Joe stuff. I stay away from all the O-rings just because you get finer sculpt details in the modern action figures, and that's kind of what I'm after. Because I kind of go for I'd say a hyper realistic version of whatever characters I'm doing.
Yeah,
I guess I'm kind of, in a way, I'm going for a 1/18th scale version of the 1/6 sideshow style toy.
They look amazing. You've sent me some pictures. I'm looking at the one. Is this the blonde guy? Is that your version of Rock and Roll?
Is that the one with the tattoos and the vest? And
yeah, he's carrying a bazooka.
He's got
a headband on and a cigarette in his mouth.
Oh no, that's a character I did for the boys over at G.I. Joeberg.
Oh my gosh! Well,
that's the one that they entered that into this year's JoeCon.
Oh my gosh, they look amazing. It really is hyper detailed. It's very Metal Gear Solid-esque. Oh, here's one. Here's your Rock and Roll. He's got a hat on. He's got it's the second version of him where he's got the two machine guns in his hand. That's him, right?
the twin miniguns.
Yeah, it looks so good, dude.
Yeah, well, that's what I go for. I like the Metal Gear reference. Yeah, that's
really
definitely something I like to aim for. That military blended with sci-fi realism.
And where do you share this stuff? Is it all on the Keep It 100 Facebook page?
That's my sort of go-to site for customs. That's it's run by Marauder Rubin, so I think a lot of toy collectors would know him from the Marauder Task Force line. So he's created this little showcase site on Facebook, and that's where most of my stuff goes. And also the G.I. Joeberg Facebook group.
Well, we love
kind of my little community. So.
We love the guys over at G.I. Joeberg. That's awesome. Do you sell these, or is it just for your own private collection? What do you do with these customized?
Yeah, it started off just for myself. I wanted to make action figures that I actually wanted to see, so I thought, oh Jesus, I'll make my own. I used to do commissions, and then I sort of realized, this is turning into a little bit of a job. It's if your artistic hobby suddenly starts becoming a bit of a chore, it was like, the fun from it is going. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I might do stuff for people if I'm very passionate about it. If I really want to make that figure, I'll do that. But a commission for a few shekels it's all about the fun and the passion and the process for me nowadays.
That's great. So you're in real life. You're real life because customizing is not real life. You're a carpenter, and that's how long you been a carpenter?
Oh, about 15 years.
And are you a finished carpenter or?
We call it a joiner over here.
Okay.
I think you pretty. Yeah, I don't know what you call it in the States. I know in the American Association of Carpentry and Joinery you still have, but I don't know if you call them joiners over there. Do you, Joe?
I don't know. I don't know. But what kind of stuff do you do? What kind of stuff do you build?
Yeah, a lot of finished carpentry
work,
and stuff. Yeah,
the fine details. I would think so. The reason I ask is because the detail on these figures in a real way is just absolute top notch. And so if you're not using that on someone's cabinets, I think it's a waste, quite frankly.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Put some action figure high relief sculpture in your woodwork.
Oh my! You should you should totally do that. Like hide GI Joe pictures into people's wood carvings. Yeah. Like just put a Snake Eyes mask every third gargoyle or something like that.
Yes, or a little cobra sigil.
Right, exactly. Yeah. When we painted it's obviously not carpentry, but when we painted my bathroom back in Chicago, underneath the mirror, so you would never see it unless you were really changing the whole bathroom around, we painted red rum backwards. And just left that as a giveaway for whoever bought the condo from me afterwards. So like stuff like that, like leave fun little notes for people.
You say fun, I say creepy.
Yeah, well, yeah, now 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? So let's talk G.I. Joe, man. How old were you when you first got into it? Like, how is this a lifelong thing for you?
Yeah, well, I'm sure lots of people know it's called Action Force over here.
Yeah.
And the sort of the G.I. Joe and the Action Force and Action Man and G.I. Joe lines kind of weave together and spread apart and weave together on the timeline right from the sort of late 60s up to, I guess, I don't know when it finished over here. I guess it's still going in a way.
So was Action Man crossed over with the 12-inch G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
Oh,
originally,
okay.
yeah. Originally, it was just a repackaged.
Oh, it's their version
Joe
of G.I. Joe. Got it. Okay.
But then the company that took over that license, Palitoy, they then started creating their own stuff. And like they created you call it the Kung Fu gripping hand over there. That was those develops.
Scone. You guys call it the scone gripping hand.
I think it just called it the gripping hand.
It's got tea and biscuits gripping.
Oh, okay, Joe.
That's terrible.
Good grief! Have you started with those already?
Oh my god!
The old cliches.
Oh, the old cliches. Does Action Man support Brexit? That's what I need to know.
Oh, I wonder.
I don't know.
I don't know. Does he think he supports the European army? Does he like the notion of remaining a pure British Majesty's forces?
Oh my gosh! So when you discovered the Joe Cobra stuff, did you find the cartoon first, the toys, or the comic book? Which was like your first?
Very first, it was the comic book.
Yeah.
They reprinted some of the G.I. Joe stories and combined it with new original material. And that's, the comic came out first. I remember seeing the advert on TV, and then the toys came out pretty much sort of.
And did it just capture you right away, or?
Oh god, yeah, because obviously Action Force, I think they went a year without releasing anything new, toy wise. They used to have a comic produced by a company called IPC over here, so it was nothing to do with the Joe comic. And then the toys went away just for a small period, and then they came back with the sort of G.I. Joe themed stuff. And that's, it was like, oh my god, Action Force are back. Who are these guys? It's like half the characters you didn't know, but they kept some of the old characters. They sort of, it's a very exciting time.
Now, did they rename a lot of the characters, or was it just a handful that would get new names over there, or were they not new named at all? Were they Snake Eyes was always Snake Eyes, etc.?
Yeah, most of them were. I think there's a few that were renamed, like, didn't they call Skidmark or something else? I don't know.
Well, I feel like Skidmark should be renamed in any language.
Yeah, please.
It's not an acceptable name anywhere.
But most of the characters, I'd say 99.9% of them were.
So how did
same characters?
How did you feel about being represented for a long time by like the Dreadnoks? Like it wasn't until we got to Big Ben where there was like a good proper British representation, but instead you've got the Dreadnoks running around acting the fool. How did that work for you?
Well, if you've been around most UK city centres, Joe, you realise that the majority of the population
are Dreadnoks.
kind of. Yeah, dregs of humanity, some might say.
Oh, I
So,
hope
yeah, spot
I
on.
hope our listenership is massive in England just for that comment.
They'll know. They'll know.
They'll just silently nod their head and go, "Yeah, we got it."
Yeah, well, they were the only British guys, weren't they?
Yeah, they really were. Did when Big Ben hit, did that was that like did that have any significance for you when he came when they finally came out with him?
No, I think by that time I was just at the cusp of sort of my mum telling me, "Aren't you a little old for these, dear?" So, yeah, Big Ben never really had any significance at all to me.
Now, did you keep the did you keep your characters, your figures from back in the day? 'Cause I know you customized with the new stuff, but did you hold on to your old stuff at all?
Oh, sadly, it was just about a year before I got back into customizing, or got into customizing, I should say, and I just it's because I rediscovered my love of Joe through finding the podcasts.
Oh, awesome!
G.I. Joe, Berg Boys, Flag Points, and Full Force.
Love it.
But unfortunately, a year before, I'd found all my old toys in my mum's attic and flogged them all on eBay.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know,
yeah, but at least your mom didn't throw them away, though. You know, so
No.
At least you don't have that emotional like leverage on your mom, and then also the baggage. You know, like you did get something from them.
Oh, I do with my dad though, Joe.
Uh-oh.
He threw away my entire. Well, I don't know if he threw away. He doesn't know what he did. My entire comic collection went when I moved out.
Oh no.
He has no idea. He's always like, I wouldn't throw that away. I wouldn't throw that away. What do you mean? It's like, well, where is it? Well, I don't know. It's gone, isn't it?
Oh no.
And he knows how much. He knew how much that collection meant to me. It was
Oh.
basically my childhood condensed into paper form.
Oh. Have you tried to
Yeah.
to recreate it, or have you started putting the pieces back together?
I have, yeah. Over the years, I've found bits and bobs from it. Sort of maybe, I don't know, maybe 50%.
Oh, well.
But I still remind him of it all the time. So
That's good. So you hold that over his head, and so what you do is you whatever the most expensive book is, you wait till the end to get that, and then you go, all right, Dad, I've got 99% of my collection together. I still have this, giant size X-Men #1 or whatever it is. You need to buy it for me, and then bam,
whip your credit card out.
yeah. Like I'm gonna let this go. We're gonna make up for all this. You buy me Hulk 181. That's the move. That's the move.
You owe me a chunk of my job.
Well, listen, Jim, today we're watching The Sludge Factor Part 1. Were you a DIC guy at all, or were you out of it at that time?
Never seen any of it before maybe 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna put it in the category of virtually unwatchable.
Well, I'm glad to have you on the show, then.
Rough, innit? Yeah.
I gotta
Mind
say,
you, saying that, Operation Dragonfire, I sat through that, and it was actually quite nice seeing some of the vehicles and characters in another medium.
Right.
Like the Mud Fighter looked gorgeous. It almost looked anime-esque in the scenes from that. And then Rock and Roll version 2 looked kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the storytelling and the scripting, the dialogue, it's
tough.
It's tough.
It's tough. And I think, and this is part one of 2 parts. And one thing we've always seen on every 2-parter that DIC has done is they never put enough story in there to justify 2 parts. And this one comes close, I think, because I kind of like what they do here. It's silly, but I kind of like it, just with all the revenge stuff that happens in these 2 parts. But it's still never enough plot to justify the 2.
No, they didn't work hard on those storylines.
No, they did not. Well, maybe they did. They just, I like to say that it seems like they were just hampered by budget, and at the end of the day, if they don't give you any money, you can't realize your dreams, right?
I don't know. You're letting them off the hook, Joe. You're an apologist.
Well, no, I'm trying to justify the last year of my podcasting life is what I'm trying to do.
All right. I'm going to spin it around there, Joe. I'm going to be completely positive from now on.
Well, before we start that episode, let's real quick get a word from our sponsor.
Joe and Joe listeners know that I love comic books, G.I. Joe, pop culture, and my wife and dogs are pretty great too. I also love learning how people get to where they're at and where they're going. All of that comes together over at the Dreamer Comics podcast, except for my family stuff. That'd be really weird. Omar Spahi interviews someone from the comic industry every episode, and they break down the journey that creator took to get from reading comics to creating them. Comic luminaries like Jim Valentino, Ross Ritchie, Kyle Higgins, and so many more can be found at DreamerComicsPodcast.com or find them anywhere you get your podcasts. Everyone has a dream. Learn how to make yours a reality.
And as we head into the episode, I want to ask everyone to go online and check us out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at Joe on Joe Pod. Go to patreon.com/Joe on Joe Pod and see how you can help support the show and get exclusive access to every episode of Joe on Joe Illustrated, which is me breaking down every issue of the comic book, issue by issue, page by page, panel by panel. And remember to go to Keep It 100 on Facebook, and you can see some of Jim's lovely customization work. So, well, Jim, are you ready to start up Sludge Factor Part 1?
Oh, yes, I'm ready.
Okay. I don't know if that's promise or a threat, but I'm excited for it. So, everyone, get your DVDs ready. This is Season 2, Disc 2 from the DIC, Sludge Factor Part 1, and here we go. So, I love these cold opens. I'll say it every episode because I love it. You can't get over how great they are.
You do, don't you?
I do. Now, I like this. I like this Super Grow stuff and this whole origin of Cesspool that they give us. I do. It's very Joker Batman.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very evil bad guy origin stories, which we don't get a lot of on G.I. Joe. You know, spoiler alert, by the way. Spoiler for anyone who's not sure. The guy that looks like an unaltered Cesspool turns into Cesspool eventually.
Yeah, and you can probably tell from his the voice actor that this is the bad guy in the making.
Wow, that mask came off that bat like a stiff wind. It was
Fabio mask.
Totally. Also, let's point out Cobra Commander's mask. We see later in this next scene, we see that he's wearing underneath his rubber mask, he's wearing his hood, but his rubber mask, the mouth is fully articulated.
There is
So, yeah. Oh, and there he goes, and he falls right into the goo. For the record, he's not wrong in pointing the finger at Flint. Flint's errant shots put him in the drink.
What is a special forces group doing at the launch of a new fertilizer?
They're very interested in, it is. Some of these guys were there for the Battle of Chicago when the giant fruits and vegetables attacked the city way back in like season 1. So they're like, we need to make sure that never happens again.
They know, don't they?
Yeah. So
we're turning up fully armed.
Yeah. But you're right. It is a really good question. Why are they there? Now maybe they're there because they're concerned with the the ecological ramifications of it. You know,
perhaps
that might be it.
You're reading deeply, Joe. I'll let you go there.
You know me, my brain goes into these places. We do get a lot. I realize now after watching this episode that there's a lot in this opening credits that is from this episode, or at least from these, from the Cesspool adventure. You know, can I just ask you, is this the first time that Eco-Force turn up? Or have they been in them before? Let me think. I believe they were on other episodes. Okay. Yeah, it's also because there's also a weird there's a weird thing about the airing, like the dates of the airing and stuff. So like this is obviously the introduction of the Eco-Force, but like Flint as the Echo Warrior was in Infested Island, which was the first episode of the season. So the Echo Warriors were on there already. And it's actually Cesspool was also on that episode, but this is Cesspool's origin. But according to the book, Now You Know by Lars Pearson, this episode didn't actually air until at this point in the season. Like, like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, like something like episode 9 or 10 or something like that. You know what I mean? So I imagine this was meant as the first appearance of these guys, but it sounds like it didn't air until later in the year.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is why we have then.
Yeah, so it's a little bit weird. But this is awesome. Like all they find is his melted gold watch. There's just vegetation. This is what Russia where the Russia nuclear plant meltdown was. Chernobyl. This is totally Chernobyl. Right?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Radioactive environment.
Yeah. It's like Chernobyl crossed over with that giant plant episode.
But they're loving it. Look at them. They are absolutely loving this replay.
Yeah. That's the other thing. They are laughing. One, where'd the video camera come from? But two, you're right, sir. He says it's been months. So this is a flashback to the origin, but so this could work not necessarily as the first episode. Yeah, it's interesting. I like that. I like that he hits the recycling bin. That's fantastic.
Even when I'm rushing out the door during an attack.
Yeah. One, where did the camera come from? And two, they are laughing at finding the remains of a dead man.
Yes.
So let's not let that get lost amongst the panic to save themselves from an invading force. And I don't know why Flint. I know they have a different voice actor. It's not Bill Ratner, but all of a sudden Flint is like a Texan. He's got this southern.
I was gonna say, to me, he sounds very southern.
Yeah, he's got a southern drawl to him, buddy. And I'm gonna be Flint now.
Smells like toxic waste.
So when did the cartoon air over in England? Like, what was it on after school or Saturdays, or when? What was the schedule like for that?
No, it never aired over here.
Oh, really?
Terrestrially, yeah. We had sort of random episodes on VHS released. You get sort of a compilation of 2 episodes, and so I think we got probably in total about a dozen, maybe, and plus the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this was just of the Sumbo stuff. The Deke stuff was never mass released every year.
Do you remember any of which episodes were were available on VHS that you may have watched a bunch?
Oh, God, yeah, watched them to death, Joe.
Do you remember which one?
We had Oda Cobra, Worlds Without End, Flint's Holiday.
Yes. It wasn't Southern Flint.
It wasn't Southern Flint back then. That was a great episode, though.
Flint's Holiday's great, yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys got the good ones. Worlds Without End, that's the single greatest series of Joe episodes ever.
Fantastic. Captives of Cobra.
Mm-hmm.
I say they were imprinted on my mind. Now I'm struggling to remember them.
Oh no, that's a lot. That's fantastic. Did you?
Yeah, we had some decent ones.
Yeah.
Lights, Camera, Cobra. That was a great.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we also get in this episode. Sorry, I always get issue and episode. So I always confuse them. We've got the this really was meant to be the first episode, because now they're the Sky Force, the Sky Patrol, not Sky Patrol, but the Glider Force guy. He's introducing it here, naming it by name, making sure the kids understand what it is, and they're making a major altitude. He's making a big deal out of it, and then we get Hawk in the mobile command base that gets a lot of use. So this is really like introductory of the toys. Yeah,
like you say, if Cesspool had been in it previously, then it kind of negates this whole kind of secretive introduction of him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it always makes me. This isn't the only show, obviously, that's done that, where you hear about like they filmed an episode that was supposed to be the first one, and then they change it around, and so it changes like some of the origin stories of people. And it always makes me wonder, like, what are the people thinking, the studio heads, when it's like you may like that other episode better, but you're sacrificing continuity and all that stuff. Like, you're building this universe and you don't want it to make sense. Like, is that not a thing?
I just don't think they think deeply enough about these things.
But also then, and you know, it was more syndication focused back then, where the stuff was going to air out of order anyway. So maybe like the first time you saw it. Well, we get a gravity break. We're going to be right back.
Today's file card features on the Cobra Stellar Stiletto pilot, code-named Star Viper. A Star Viper is a qualified Cobra Strato Viper with an electromagnetic shunt surgically implanted in the right side of his brain. During high-speed upper atmospheric dogfights, electronic impulses are introduced through the shunt, stimulating the reflexes while heightening awareness for a split-second decision. Quote, Star Vipers are exceedingly dangerous in action. They routinely execute fast maneuvers with insect-like efficiency. However, they are referred to as jolt heads by their fellow Cobras and are known to be distracted and generally disoriented between missions. There is a lot to like about this Star Viper, guys. He is really cool. He's a good-looking figure. He's dressed all in black with gold piping and tubing cutting across his chest, that I'm assuming he needs for atmospheric conditions. He's got a full face mask, and it's not a helmet. It's just his head. So he's like a full Viper head, but he's got this giant red windscreen, so it resembles more a traditional space helmet than a Viper helmet. And let's talk for a second about the Cobra Stellar Stiletto. The name is terrible, but the vehicle is awesome. I like it a lot. It's like a dart. I mean, I guess stiletto works for it, but it just, the name doesn't roll off the tongue there. This thing is kind of cool, man. Like, it is tight, compact, looks a little bit like a Star Wars A-Wing, and the back of it flips so you can set it up to launch into space. So, like, you can rest it on the afterburners so that it can launch straight up and go into space. Like, that's really kind of cool. It's red and black, and it's just a solid Cobra look for most vehicles. I'm a fan, man. I think the Viper looks great, and I think the toy looks great. Cobra Star Viper, I'm sorry that this brain implant is probably giving you seizures, but we salute you.
So he's falling in a whole, like, truck full of vegetables, which should scare anyone off being a vegan. He lost his and he jumps on the drone. Now, what kind of toys did you have? Like, did you have a lot of the vehicles, or was it all mostly figures, or what was that? What was your collection scene like?
Oh, I had a nice mix. Yeah, my mum and dad were pretty generous with it. Had some great early Action Force vehicles, which I treasured dearly. And then I was trying to think some of my favourites. And we got the tactical transportable battle platform.
Yes.
Dragonfly.
Amazing.
Thunder Machine, or the Havoc.
Love it.
I've got a huge soft spot for some reason for the Armadillo mini tank.
Oh, the Armadillo is great.
Yeah, some people hate it, but I absolutely love it.
No, the Armadillo is awesome. I think it's probably gets a little, because you're very exposed as the driver on that. Usually, what I've noticed kind of anecdotally is the toys that have the driver super, super exposed, people kind of call BS on a little more. Like the Havoc, like riding directly on top, even though the Havoc's kind of awesome.
Oh, I love the Havoc.
Yeah, but like, there is no better shoot me in the face position than the driver's seat of the Havoc.
No, but you've got to say 75% of the vehicles are in Joe. You've just got to.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You roll with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they can't all get canopies, and you need to make it easy for your figure to get in and get out of it.
Exactly. We're dealing with little stubby hands here.
Yeah, exactly. So now this is another in a long line of Cobra vehicles that they use on the cartoon that we never really get in the toy
submarine
form. Yeah, this submarine is kind of neat.
Has it showed up in previous Deke episodes?
No, I don't know. And I don't know that it showed up later. But, like, Cobra always had these really cool transport vehicles on the show because they were always remote, right? It was never... I mean, yes, they had bases, but it was them going out doing stuff. So they always had to fly them there in the big Cobra jet, or in this case, this submarine, or there was a different submarine they used. I would have liked to have seen that a little bit in the toys of like a giant, like C-130 that housed, a couple Fang helicopters. Things like that.
Yeah, I think this is virtually most people's kind of missing holy grail, isn't it? The great big Cobra transport vehicle.
Yeah.
Whether it be that chopper, or like you say, the sub, or the air carrier.
Yeah, that Cobra-headed airplane that was all over the Sunbow stuff. That would have been amazing. Just a big old, and you'd give it fold up wings so you could store it, right? Even though it wouldn't never be able to use fold up wings flying, but give it fold up wings so kids can put it away and make it a big enough mouth that you can put a couple like helicopters in, and maybe a rattler. But yeah, I mean that would have been great.
Oh yeah, at least a drop down ramp to slide a couple of fangs.
Yeah, and some trouble bubbles. Give it like little grab arms that would grab the trouble bubble, like you know what I mean? Like
little external clip-on housing.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you could have
clip it onto the side of it.
On either side.
It's exactly it. And it could come with a custom trouble bubble, like a custom Cobra red and blue trouble bubble or something like that.
Hey, wait a minute.
I'm telling you.
Oh, I like the way your mind works.
Somebody needs to hire us. Come on. Come on. I do love here. So it's Cesspool. Although I don't know if he's given him his name yet, but I like that. I do like that they're like keeping it a mystery for us. You know, like they're not necessarily saying that's the dude that died or that didn't die. I like this.
Locks on your doors.
Although it's fairly obvious, isn't it?
Well, sure. Well, it's obvious. Especially, it would be obvious if you had the toy because he has the chest plate, that Cobra chest plate on. But did the toy have that helmet, or was he just exposed?
From what I recall, I don't think he ever had a helmet, did he? It was always just the.
Yeah,
I think the helmet is purely for the suspense element.
I'm gonna check it online real quick, but I was running into a problem because it's when we're doing it on Skype because I don't want to ruin the audio of our cross-channel communication.
Skip.
Let's see here. Echo Warriors. So this is what do we got here? That's a Toxo Zombie. Oh, they really did. They did a couple years of Echo Warriors. It wasn't just like it was 91 and 92, so it wasn't just a one-off line. Like because most of the lines they would just do them one year and then move on to another one. But they revisited the Echo stuff. No, he had a helmet. He did have a helmet.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think his face is just such a good look on the toy. You know, like it looks super nasty and creepy. I think it works. Like I don't know why you'd ever want to put the helmet on him.
No.
Also,
is it exactly the same as that helmet there?
It's not exactly
Pretty
the
much.
same. It's more his helmet on the toy. I would say looks more like a trooper's helmet from the game Halo.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sounds quite cool.
Yeah. It's kind of cool looking. Yeah. Also, his file card has always and will always look like Brent Spiner from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Sludge heads.
Oh, I'm not really a
Yeah.
Trekkie. You've lost me on that one, mate.
Well, listeners, Google it. Look at the cesspool file card and look at Brent Spiner and tell me that's not kind of looking exactly like him. So the Joes, in their effort to escape, run into. It looks a little bit similar. I guess it does look. It's a DIC version of the helmet, I would say. Yeah. So the Joes get caught by a giant magnet and they're thrown into a car crusher. And is this the end of Zombie G.I. Joe? I think this is where we're gonna find out after this commercial break. Yeah, we are. We'll be right back.
G.I. Joe will return.
Hey, listeners, if you're anything like me, all apologies to your family. I'm just kidding. It's likely that they made you this way. No, I'm talking about that I'm always looking for more G.I. Joe content, and I think I found it. Stop what you're doing. Okay, don't stop listening to this podcast. Can't you multitask? And go to Facebook/Special Mission Force. Brian Wilkins is curating all kinds of wonderful, nostalgic G.I. Joe content, including new pics from his fantastic Instagram page at Special Mission Force. On his Instagram, he's taking photos of Joes out in the wild, in the real world, doing stuff. For me, the two things that stand out the most are his variety of characters that he takes pictures of, and like the depth of field in these pictures. It's just a wonderful job of directing focus for you. I think you really will enjoy his work. So like him on Facebook, follow him on Instagram and Twitter, and get ready for his website, specialmissionforce.com. He's a name to watch in the G.I. Joe game, so get on board now. Now back to the show. I think the first time I saw a car crusher was in the movie Superman 3.
Oh yeah, I think that Same for me, and that was quite a dark moment.
Oh, it's a quite
in my
dark
childhood.
moment, and it was
Creepy.
fascinating to me. I was like, they do that to cars? That's amazing. and then you see it in the movie Christine, and I was like, whoa.
Instead of being crushed, now we're going to be barbecued.
Oh, and they're also on fire. So not only is the car crushed, but they're also on fire. They don't even.
How did they get out?
They didn't even. That's so cheap.
That was not even an attempt to say,
So cheap.
Flint, here, through this gap here.
Someone's got to find out
That
who this guy
was
is and what he's up to.
Terribly cheap. They did not show us how they escaped. But again, I love the mystery here. I love we got to figure out who this dude is. Who are these new guys? They're ruining the atmosphere. I like
these
it.
Toxo dudes. Are they Toxo Vipers?
They're
No, they can't be.
Yeah, they're called Toxo Vipers, I think, right? Eco Warriors.
No, that's
Sludge. Oh, those are Sludge Vipers.
Sludge Vipers.
Those are Sludge Vipers.
They remind me of the generic bad guys from the Spiral cartoon. Do you remember those?
From which one?
Spiral Zone.
Oh, Spiral Zone. Yeah. Yeah. I remember the ads for Spiral Zone in comic books. Yeah, and these guys, I think, those are bats. Yeah, those are like Generation 2 bats.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jim, what I love to ask my guests in this act of the show is if you could be a member of the Joe or Cobra team, what would you be? What side would you be? And what would your codename be?
Well, I guess I quite like the idea of living in a state that's outside the financial and international law.
No,
so
you're gonna be a Cobra.
Happily, relocate over to Cobra Island.
I love it. I love when people go Cobra. Awesome. So you're gonna go Cobra. What's your specialty gonna be?
Well, I mean, being a carpenter, that's the only skills I've got to offer. And I mean, somebody's got to build those bases and renovate the place. I mean,
so true.
It gets smashed up on a regular basis, doesn't it?
It really does.
I can't see many outside contractors making the trip from Florida over to Cobra Island.
I agree, and they build a lot of bases all over the world, not just on Cobra Island.
Imagine getting a cushy job at the Cobra Consulate in New York.
Right?
Maintenance manager.
Yeah, or one of their South American temples you need to rebuild because it just fell down again. Or in the Arctic, or, I mean, you would be traveling the world.
There's a lot of construction opportunities within Cobra.
So you're going to be the Cobra Carpenter. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, what would your name be?
Well, maybe as a tribute to Major Altitude in this episode?
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'll call myself Major Renovation.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Major Renovation. I love it.
Either that or Renovator.
Oh no, I like Major Renovation. Renovator works, but I like Major Renovation because it also gives you. I don't think enough Cobra. There's not enough military in Cobra. You know, they're more of like the super villains. It's like the Renovator. They always could use more military guys. So being Major Renovation, I think, is perfect. I love it so much. Do you want an animal? As long as we're building you out, do you want a sidekick?
Not on a building site, Joe. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
Health and safety. Come on, think about it. How about for the action figure, the smallest accessory available, smaller even than the POC low light bullet, of a little stubby pencil that slips into a hole just behind his ear.
That's great.
Oh, and a little mug, a little I Heart Cobra coffee mug.
Oh, I love it.
And maybe even an exposed bum crack at the back of his trousers. Just to add to the finesse of an on-site hairy ass builder.
You want to go for authenticity. I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely have a Cobra branded tool belt for sure.
Oh, no, yes, a great big serpent's head.
For sure.
Right over the crotch.
You have a laser...
Toxic refuse sounds about right.
Measuring tape, like a laser guided one.
Oh, like a laser level, yeah.
Right, but that laser then you could weaponize it. Like you can turn that in, you can use it on the job, but then you could also turn up the intensity and use it as an attacking laser on the Joes.
You've always got to have something like that. haven't you?
Always, yeah, because the Joes will capture you and they'll be like, he's just got a measuring tape. Well, what's this going to do? And you use it to break out of their prison.
Love it.
And whenever you do get like around Joe stuff, you always know like the proper loading beam, and like you're like, take out that beam and the whole place will collapse.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? So like you're
Yes.
building
Strategic demolition.
Yes, you're structurally tactical asset for Cobra.
This guy has wheels, Joe.
This guy's I think Major Renovation is going places in a real way. So now in the show, we've got Cesspool finally joining Cobra. So this definitely is definitely the first episode for sure. Like, you know, his intro episode, like for real. Because that other one, when he was on, he was already part of Cobra. But
Yep, they've mixed it up and messed it up somewhere down the line.
yeah, no,
Whether accidentally or just through
yeah,
not really giving a hoot.
yeah, probably not giving up. I like that he revealed his face earlier to Flint, and now we get to see it here. Oh, that is Toxic Avenger level nasty. And we get continued on the horror show of a face. Oh my gosh.
Have you
Jim,
seen the modern sculpt of that face? think-
for the toy?
Yeah, the modern era
Well,
one.
let's
is
go
beautiful.
to it. Let's go to it right now. Well, Jim, there's is that your first DIC episode?
No, it was like I said, I'd done what's it, Operation Dragonfire.
Oh, right. Yeah, you'd said yeah. So what'd you think of this one?
Oh, Joe, are you sure you want the answer?
I do. We want truth here.
It was horrendous. That was a tough 21 minutes.
Yeah.
It was probably not, maybe not the best. I'm not a fan of the whole Eco-Force.
Right.
It's in the same way as the drug elimination force. It's all the whole preachiness that came with it. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is not G.I. Joe.
Well,
So
it was
maybe
the 80s.
because of their
90s.
involvement, it's probably put me off a little bit.
I am looking at his modern sculpt from 2014, and it's a good looking figure. Yeah, his face looks properly nasty.
They've really gone for that, shredded skin look.
Yeah, that's a good looking figure. Well, Jim, I want to thank you for being a guest on Joe on Joe, or should I say Major Renovation.
Absolutely. No, it's been a pleasure, Joe. Thank you. It's, as I said to you earlier, it's a rare treat to get to talk Joe with anybody in this minority hobby, isn't it? So it's been lovely.
Oh, man. Well, this was a real treat for me. Thank you for reaching out across the pond and giving my listeners just a delightful episode. So remember, everyone, go check out Jim's stuff at Keep It 100 on Facebook. I imagine that's a public page people can find pretty easy.
I think it's a closed group, but it's pretty easy to join.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I like that closed group stuff. I like when they ask you the questions. I like finding closed groups that have hard questions that I can show my mental superiority.
Oh, that's what you like. Is it?
Yeah.
So-
It's what I do.
Swell that ego.
It's what I do.
Joseph.
Oh, Jim, this is great, man. Thank you so much, guys. And listeners, you're the best. Thanks for listening. And now you, Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.